Chapter 13. Matthew speaks about the inner life of Cyrenius. Here, Cyrenius, pressing the speaker's hand, opens his eyes wide and says to me, "Lord, he has a very unusual way of looking at life. One basically cannot disagree with him. It is truly and unfortunately naked truth on the whole, as well as in detail. But what do you say to that?" I say, "Why are you surprised? I told you beforehand that these 5 would give a tough time. Oh, just listen to them, and you will then understand me much easier and deeper." Cyrenius says again to the speaker of the 5, who was called Matthew, "But could you also say so convincingly that it is more probable that God existed before your heavenly bodies? Which I still cannot imagine. Look, I don't know of any nation on earth that does not accept, honour and worship a God full of insight and power. And you prove now the opposite. You see, that fills my heart with great fear. So provide us with the counter-evidence. I, the Supreme Governor, beg you." Matthew says, "Weak infant of the earth, I feel sorry for you. You have, however, as I see in my soul, understood some words of power, life, and truth, and you have seen with your eyes what God's word may do, and still cannot understand in your heart the profoundness of some thoughts. Yes, friend, see, you still love life too strongly and are stuck in the middle of it. But from this point of view, it is hardest to recognize. Friend, one must have totally lost life, that is, the earthly life, and only then one recognizes life. Take a pot and fill it with water. The water will sit calmly in the pot, and you will not recognize the spirits of steam in the peaceful water. If you stir the water actively and set it in motion, spirits of the steam will not show. But if you put it over fire, it will soon begin to simmer, and in simmering, the powerful spirits of steam will begin to rise over the water's bubbling hot surface. And the spirits still resting in the water will now recognize the powerful steam spirits which were resting quite peacefully in the cold water beforehand, first looking at themselves, and then looking at the hot water with many thousand eyes. And they realize that they were once completely one and the same with the cold water. Thus, during boiling, the water recognizes that there were strange spirits in it, and still are, down to the last drop. Yes, yes. The simmering water recognizes that it is spirit and power at the same time. But in its cold state, it could not recognize or understand itself. Do you see an appropriate picture here? Your life is now only pure, but quite calm, cold water in the pot of your body. Your pot can be moved in all directions, but you will not recognize your life source. On the contrary, the more the water is moved in its cold state, as is the case for all great people of the world, the less the water in the fast-moving human pot recognizes itself and its surroundings. For a moving water surface no longer shows a pure image, but a torn one. But if your water pot of life goes to the true fire of love, great mortification and all suffering and pain, oh, then it begins to boil violently in the pot, and thereby the released spirits of steam soon recognize themselves, their previous cold state, the spiritual soul, and the fragile pot. And the water in the pot will look at the spirits with 1,000 eyes and recognize that it was not a lazy carrier, but that they were one and the same. But the pot, friend, understand. The released spirits will not recognize the pot as one of them, but only as a necessary outer vessel that afterwards is broken into pieces and thrown onto the street. Have you now a taste of what I wanted to say? Cyrenius says, "It seems that I understand your image more or less, that is, in the comparative application to our soul's life. But the deeper things that you wanted to disclose, I have no idea about. Do you mean to say that there had to be a God before the existence of all things?" Mathael says, "Of course, but you can have no idea of this, because you yourself have not even begun to steam."